Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know if you can hear me well. And if you don't, obviously, you know what to do. Make an appointment with your ear, nose, and eyes doctor and see what you can hear. All right. Let's see who is here. Nobody. Well, there is actually. Two brave people are here. However, not brave enough to put a question. Oh, there it is. Aitilefa. Well, that's a challenging pronunciation. Aitilefa. And okay, before we go on, please do not forget the protocol. We need to know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. M for male, F for female, and where you're tuning in from, like, I don't know, India, UK. So M or F or whatever you choose to use, and then age, and then of course which country you're tuning in from. Then I'll read your question because I like to know, a little bit about you, such as which age and what gender, and how to address the question properly tailored to your specification, inclination, so to speak. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? I mean, the whole two of you, or am I talking to myself? So while you figure that out, I'll be right back. So Aitilefa, make sure you put in the information I asked, and I'll be more than happy to address your question. She says, talk about HOCD in virgin people. Virgin or not, makes no difference. It's a glitch of the brain signaling system, hits anybody with any gender, at any time of their life. It's just another glitch of the brain that you should be aware of, and to know how to help the brain to rewire itself back to its default setting, whatever that was. She says, I am a virgin girl and I never date. Why not? But I always was sure I love men. All right. But after I got accused to be a lesbian, how could anybody accuse you of anything? And who cares who accused you of what? You got to side with the truth, not what people say. People's opinions means nothing, worth nothing. Many people could say, well, today it's sunny, or it's raining. I don't care what they say. So why should I be bothered? Oh, I got to now prove to them that it is not sunny. No, you don't have to. They can say what they want to say. Who died and made them the judge of the world, and their opinion would be the paramount of opinions, and the facts and truth is represented by their opinions. No such thing. So they can say whatever they want to say. You need to focus on your awareness, and your awareness tells you what your inclination you have, what's comfortable for you, what you love, what you prefer, what you want to be, what you've always been interested in. Right now, the fact that you're making a question, you're asking a question, it makes it very clear about you that your awareness, there is an awareness that this particular thing that people have said, or this particular thought that has shown up in your head about HOCD or about being a lesbian or about whatever people said or whatever suggestion or images brain has produced in your screen of your head, you have seen this to be a question. Why is this here? The fact that there's an awareness of the presence of something that does not represent your values, it's not in line with your values, that tells you that there is a contradiction. There is never an awareness if there is no contradiction. So when you're aware, you become aware of something, that means that what you have become aware of, the reason for it is that there's a contradiction between what is being suggested or shown up in your head, image, thoughts, whatever suggestion, and what your values and inclination is, gender, whatever your interests and preference are not in line. So that itself, the awareness will simply show the truth. And therefore, because there is an awareness, the fact that you're asking a question, that already tells you there's a contradiction between what is suggested by the brain or other people and what your true self is. So if it was, let's say, suggested, somebody would say, oh, she wants to get married and she loves men and all that. There would be no awareness. There would be no question. You would not have your backs up and you would not be thinking, why did they say that? Right? Because that's your natural inclination. So there's no contradiction. Therefore, there's no awareness. So things go smoothly. Somebody made a comment, oh, thank you very much. That's it. But when you don't say thank you very much, why do you say that? That's an awareness of a contradiction. And the contradiction tells you that it's regardless of what they say, that's not facts and that's not true about you. So you can relax, let people say what they want to say. Accept that people can say what they want to say, just like you accept thoughts can exist. But secretion or production of a thought by the brain is not describing or defining who you are, because brain is a separate system. You're not the brain, brain is not you. So what it utters or produces or secretes or suggests or images or imagines has nothing to do with your actuality and is not defining you. And if you're thinking that what brain does or produces is what you are, well, then that is why the problem is, because that's not true. You're not the brain, brain is not you. If you study Dr. Schwartz's work on You're Not the Brain and Brain is Not You, then it's very clear for you. And in many videos that I have on this channel, I have proven to you, beyond the shadow of the doubt, using scientific methods and information and philosophical points of views, that you can see clearly you're not the brain, brain is not you. And lo and behold, this brain that we have was pretty much developed 40,000 years ago. Before that, we didn't have this brain. Only since 40,000 years ago, we were able to think and speak. Before that, we didn't have thinking ability or speaking ability, which at that time, there was no OCD problems, no OCD substance problem, no HOCD, no any kind of a confusion in inclination, because all of these are thought-based and thought-born suggestions and challenges. Otherwise, human beings, like other animals, lived for millions of years without any question about many things or any things. Everything was instinctive. You would run, you would hunt, you would sleep, you would have sex, you would eat. There was no question about anything that are being questioned today. The reason that these questions exist is mainly because of the ability to think and the words that we can speak. Words have meanings, and the meanings give suggestion to the brain. Brain uses these things to make thoughts. It makes a certain thought, not really meaning anything because its job is to make thoughts, takes what other information you're exposed to through the mediums and things that you see in lifestyles and discussions and TV and so on, and uses that ingredient, makes thoughts. And those thoughts doesn't define you, but it makes you think as because they showed up in your head, must mean something. They don't. Then we go forward on the fact that these thoughts don't disappear as soon as they are shown up, which is the mechanism of the brain. In midbrain basal ganglia, in the striatum, there's a lever called caudate nucleus. Its job is to shut down intrusive thoughts when they show up. So everybody in the world has intrusive thoughts, every single one of us. And when these thoughts show up, which is not in line with your values, you say, ooh, that's nasty. But then, boom, caudate nucleus shuts down the existence and appearance of thought and dissipates, and you go on about your day. But in OCD brains, this thing doesn't work that well. Like it's kind of lost its automatic abilities to do what it's designed to do, to shut down. The lever, so to speak, doesn't work. So when an intrusive thought shows up, it says, oh, what is that? And then it doesn't disappear as it's supposed to. So it lingers. When it hovers, then you think, oh, because it didn't disappear, it must mean something about me. No, it's a glitch that it doesn't disappear. It's not disappearing, has no message for you that this is something about you. It's just a malfunction of the signaling system of the brain. So when you understand all these, then you will learn how to use the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz to help the brain to rewire itself and come back to its default setting. And these suggestions and thought and so forth, you got to be okay with the fact that brain makes thoughts and thoughts can exist, but none of them have any role in defining you because these are brain's thoughts, not your thought from your awareness. Hope that helps you out. And no, you're still what you've always been. You got to understand the relationship between the power of the brain over the body, because the brain, when it secretes a thought, the thought from the brain, and the brain uses that as a signal to make the body react. The same way that I explained to you right now, that if you close your eyes and think that you are a part of a visiting group to France, and the tour guide takes you all to a vineyard, but it's out of season. The grapes are not ripe. It's not yet, it's got few months or a month or so before the grapes become sweet. So the grapes are green and they're sour as hell. So he gives you a piece of this to every one of you guys, and everybody gets a cluster of these green grapes and puts in their mouth, bites on it. And the sourness just starts salivating, and then it backs it up with the lime, cut of lime, and every one of you squeezes the lime in your mouth. Just imagine how you would feel in your mouth. Now, if you notice, if you focus on what I said, you have saliva in your mouth right now. But there is no lime, there is no sour grape, but the fact that you thought of it, imagined it, the brain was able to order the body to react to this imaginary virtual scenario, but it reacts in a physical way. This reaction of your mouth having saliva, creating saliva, it does not become an evidence that what the brain suggested was actuality, was fact. It wasn't. You're not in France, you're not in a tour, you're not in a vineyard, and you're not biting onto sour grapes. But yet the body has reacted to it physically because the brain has such power. So when the brain comes up with a thought of whatever else and then makes your body react to it, because the body cannot tell if it's virtual or actual, the brain tells it, comply and actually react to this. It makes a reaction as if it is actually something that causes the body have a sensation. But that's not you. That's the power of the brain over the body and the body's sensitive ability to react to suggestions, just like the Lyme thing. So you cannot believe that any reaction that is happening because of any thought that shows up is an evidence that the thought defines you. It's all totally different than what you have been thinking. So lack of knowledge makes you confused. But when you understand how the psyche mechanism of the neurons and the brain power on the body and reaction of the body to thoughts and suggestions and so on, and they're all so separate from your inclination, from your identity, from your awareness, from your preferences, then you will be rest assured that nothing can change. It's just suggestions. And suggestions can come and go, and you'll stick your ground to what it is that you prefer, and no harm done. And we go for Tim is here, says, hi, Meran. 19 male England. Hope you're doing well. Your advice is always a big help. Delighted to hear that. Thank you for that. And Tim says, Meran, I started talking to this girl, and I've quickly realized that this girl loves to party and drink and go out. Personally, I haven't tried doing that, and I'm religious. So my question is, should I date people with an intention for a future, or should I live in the present? I do like this girl, but I don't like vaping or smoking weed. These also big cultural differences between us. Well, if you choose a girlfriend based on her looks, then there is no end to it, because everybody looks beautiful these days. You know, they go do some things to anything that they want to make it look better, and they're successful. Things are available that they go fitness, they do certain manipulations and a little makeup here and there, and everybody looks sexy and beautiful. So if your criteria to like a girl is because she's beautiful, then you're out to lunch, because from this one, you're going to be attracted to that one. From that one, you're going to be attracted to that one, which we men are attracted to every beautiful girl that we see, whether we have a girlfriend or not. But choosing a girl to be in a relationship with should have a lot more to it than their aesthetics. In other words, you may like a girl because she's pretty, but then you enter into a relationship and you learn that the relationship has to have a foundation, and the foundation of a relationship can never be just the beauty and the aesthetics of the two people. You need to have some kind of a standards, some kind of a principles, some kind of a qualifications that needs to be met before you can have a chance to have more compatibility with that girl. And those things have a lot to do with the content of the consciousness of each one of you. If the way you feel your lifestyle is not vaping, not using, dope or whatever it is that some people do, or drinking or partying, well, that means you have no foundation to find things compatible to build together and be coordinated and have similar lifestyle and policies to go in the same direction in that relationship. There will be conflicts and divisions because of your mentality, your preferences, and you want to be engaged in different activities where she is wanting to be engaged in other activities that she chooses. So, relationship happens in the consciousness level. And if the consciousness, which includes the content of it, and the content of it are so different, you won't have a hope in hell to make that relationship work. After a few dating and outing and perhaps maybe sex, eventually you'll see even that sex is not going to keep you guys together, because the relationship doesn't happen just on the physical level. The physical attraction is an invitation to get to know each other, an attraction, an invitation. And once you get to know each other, you will know that, this is really palatable, or this is actually repellent. And I cannot stand her, or I cannot follow her lifestyle. I cannot be compatible with that kind of a choosing. And therefore, when things are not in harmony in your consciousness, it doesn't matter how good looking you guys are. You will repel each other. So it's waste of time. So if you just want to see how it is because you want to satisfy your curiosity because she's pretty, and you want to say, well, she accepted to go out with me, this pretty girl, so I've got it. I'm a real stud muffin. If that's what's important for you, go ahead and date her. And you go out with her a couple of times or once, and you'll see what she's trying to do to impress you in her own mind. Or you see you just can't stand this kind of a lifestyle. It's not you, and you have to be out of your own character in order to tolerate whatever she's doing. And just because you want to be with her physically, you're going to put up with lots of shit. Even you may end up vaping or smoking with her just because you want to get into her pants. These are the things because you started at the wrong foot. You should have considered all these differences and make a wise decision that, okay, as palatable and exciting this is to go out with this girl, but unless we come to a compromise and learn what really is going to help us to have a good foundation or not, this will not work and just going to be in agony. Either conflicts or problems or dissatisfaction from one to the other, and you guys break up. So you don't have to always go out with the girls thinking that you want to marry them. You got to first learn who they are, what they represent, how their lifestyle are, and they will do the same to you. And then you guys see if you're compatible enough. Then you know each other for a while to get to know about the content of each other's consciousness, to see if you are actually in harmony. That takes a while to know each other's consciousness. And then you'll see if that is something to consider. Not right off the bat. I'll go out with this girl and I want to marry her. How? Just because, you got a hard on? Well, we have hard on for almost any one of them that meets our aesthetic standards. So that's not a criteria. And it's not hard for us guys to think that we're in love because somebody is beautiful. The beauty is not love. That's lust. Love comes when you guys bond on conscious level. For that reason, you just go out and have fun. And if you see the kind of fun that she has it's not compatible with the kind of fun you want to have, then you better end it, because it's going to end anyhow. She's into a different trip. She wants to have attentions and she's not settled enough. She needs things to feel good about herself. That's a never ending, and it could be a prelude to leading to other things that it might be even further from what your preferences are. All right. Hope that'll help you out. John Bargazi says, hi, Mehran. Guys, what happened? Oh, there it is. Yeah, someone spoke too soon. Says, hi, Mehran. My name is John. I'm 34 and from Texas. Howdy. How do you feel about what's going on in the Middle East? It's very scary, and I feel bad for everyone involved. Yeah, well, it's not about how I feel. You got to look at the records. You got to look at the history. We can go back in the history and then find out that, well, this land was simply belonged to Palestinians. They were living there for years. And even though maybe at one point, I don't know, 4,000 years ago, they were all living side by side, Jewish brothers and sisters and Muslim brothers and sisters had no problems then. And then eventually maybe ended up to be what it was 70 years ago, Palestine, a country that mostly were Arabs, Muslims. And then in the World War One, I guess, or two, I think, the Balfour Declaration, they gave that territory, half of that territory, which belonged to Palestine, to another people. So when the Jewish brothers and sisters were given that land by a third party, which didn't own that land, the British gave it to another party, which they just simply were looking for a place for their own. So they created this conflict between these two people, and neither one had any problem with each other before this land was divided and given to them both, rather than just staying where it belonged. So then Israelis created, with the backing of the United States, they became very advanced in military forces, and they bit by bit tried to get more of the land that was not even in their half. And that whole thing lasted for 67, 70 years now. So the Palestinians were under the occupation for that long, pretty much, and they resisted, and many people from both sides been affected, lost their lives. And everybody's life is precious, whether you're Muslim, Jew, Christian, or Buddhist, or any other religion. It doesn't matter. We are all human beings, and everybody has to be safe and be able to live in peace and harmony, raise their families, and achieve the goals that they set out to achieve in this short journey of life. However, somehow the politics of it has taken place. The ownership of the land became the paramount of it, and kicking some other people out and so on became a story of itself. And the involvement of United States wanting to have a police force in the Middle East for their own gains and control of the area. So they emboldened and empowered Israeli political forces. And then, of course, they're backing them to push the Palestinians out. So Palestinians have really been suffering for many, many years. And of course, as I said, is every one person getting harmed, regardless of where they're from and what their inclination or what their religions are. It's a disaster. So we're not talking about Jewish or the Muslims. We're talking about humanity that is at each other's neck for a fucking piece of land. I don't understand who gains here, other than a bunch of people who want to sell weapons, and they end up don't care. And there is a story, which is true, I guess, that one of the reasons that these companies are backing Israeli government or Israeli military or the Israeli government themselves are pushing and doing what they're doing, because in Gaza area, into the sea, there is a humongous reservoir of gas. That's lots of money. So maybe there is another motivation on top of everything else that these things are happening. Maybe this thing was actually a prelude or a excuse to do what they've all along planned to do. Who knows? All I know is that innocent people of both sides are being affected with their lives. And I know Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims, Christians, Jews, they all come from the same roots. We all are human beings, somehow ended up here on this earth, and we all lived side by side with no problems until these big other countries tried to interfere for their own gain, and they bring certain kind of a alliances in order to fulfill their own goals in the territory. So that's my view. But anyhow, in this particular happening, it is quite sad to see that Israeli government is not treating, even if that attack was not staged and was not instigated or promoted by their own government, even if it wasn't, and if it was all the heinous act of terrorists, I would still frown upon having destroyed Gaza in that way and killing so many innocent people who have had nothing to do with the heinous act that was done against the Jewish brothers and sisters in Israel. So while every nation has the right to defend themselves and be safe, but so that means every nation, meaning if you're occupying another nation, that nation under occupation has the right to resist. And if the certain people attempt or attack innocent people, like recently happened to the innocent Israelis, and then so they have the right to retaliate, but to the guilty party, not to the ones who have got nothing to do. So many children have been killed. What did those children have anything to do with anything? But they're carpet bombing, and these are not even approved by the Geneva Convention in any kind of a war. You can't have a collective punishment. It's like somebody, God forbid, comes to your home and steals something or harms someone, and then you have your military go on and destroy every person in that neighborhood or steal everything that they have. It's a collective punishment, not targeted to the one who actually did it. Then what happened to the justice? If that was the case, then the world would have no control, because everybody, as soon as something bad happens to them, they're going to destroy anything else and everybody else there. So anyhow, that's my limited opinion. I am not sure how much of these topics we can talk about, these social medias. Who knows? They may come along and say, "Oh, you shouldn't have said this." Well, I didn't say anything that wasn't in the records. It's already recorded. If you focus on what Professor Finkelstein and Professor Chomsky have been talking about, and they're both Jewish, and they're scholars, and they have discussed the history of that region and the whole role of the Israeli government and the atrocities, then it doesn't need me to say it. It's on the record. So, having said that, John, I hope that is something you were looking for or helps open up the information you were looking for. Anyhow. And remember, Atifila, what Itilefa, I don't know how to say that. If you need more discussion, you can go on my site, mind@sixtruth.com. It's www.mind-that-seeks-truth.com, and make an appointment for us for a discussion on Skype, one-on-one, and discuss what's concerning you on Skype. And Kamran says, "Hi, Mehran. I had a question last stream, but you had to leave. I'm going to ask again today." Okay. Says, male 25, Indiana. Thank you for that. Says, what happens to our mind when we go through our first breakup? It feels like I'm stuck on a scarcity mindset, and I'm having trouble moving on since this was the only woman I have dated. All right. If it's the first time you have an apple, And when it finishes or falls off your hand on the floor, on the ground, or into an alley and you can't reach it, it's gone, doesn't mean that that happening because it was the only apple, the first apple you've ever had, that means there is no more apples. So scarcity, why? You just had your first apple. You having a first apple doesn't mean it has the apple numbers in the world are limited to the one that you had. So first things first, there are a lot more apple, whether you see them or you have them in your hand or in your pocket or you don't. There are, because it's illogical to think that there are only one apple tree and you had only one apple on it and you had it. This world is a world of abundance. There is not of anything that is only one of them. There's more than one trees, more than one bird, more than one mountain, more than one anything, flowers, more than one bees, more than one any animal. So there is no way that when it comes to human being, there's only one girl, one possibility, one girlfriend, just because it was your first. You say, well, it took me 25 years to go to another one. Well, okay. You weren't really good at that finding or locating or connecting. But now that you had your first one, you've learned a thing or two. It'll be easier next and next and next because you now know it's not impossible. It's part of life. Whether you want it or not, as bad as you have been to find a girlfriend, it happened. So it means whether you want it or not, it's going to happen. The same thing now. You never know that this relationship is going to happen, but it did happen. Like before it happened, you had no intuition that, oh, that's going to happen. Yeah. You had no information, but it did happen. So without you knowing, without you having a knowledge of what future holds, the future did hold a girlfriend for you. You're now in the same situation again. You don't know, but it will happen because it's not depending on if you know what's going to happen or not to happen. It will happen whether you want it or not. So just be patient, do your life. That's number one. What your brain goes through, lots. First of all, you're used to someone and it was an experience of your life. You had sex with her and it's amazing feeling. You feel like a man, you feel like accomplished, you feel so worthy, and you feel you're more. Because from childhood, we've been conditioned to think we're not enough. We've always been compared to uncle's son getting A in the math or so-and-so's daughter having such a nice manners. And we've always been somehow in one way or another shown we're not enough, we got to be more. And so one of the things that made us more is if we have more cookies or we have more money or we have a bicycle or we have new shoes, all made us more. Also, having a girlfriend makes us more. So not having a girlfriend makes you feel you're less. So that's one of the things your brain goes through. Oh, I'm less. And then you also feel like if I'm a bad person, because it looks like I've been punished. Why? Because since you were a kid, if you did something that wasn't right in the minds of the parents, they took something away. So when they took something away, you feel you're diminished, you're punished because they took something away. And now that you're no longer with the girlfriend, you feel something is being taken away, which gives you the feeling of you're a bad person. You've done something bad, so you're being punished. These emotions are at work right there. Now, the other thing is that you're not necessarily hurting because she's not there. The fact that she was your first and all that, yeah, it's definitely because of that. But there's also another thing involved that you can focus on, especially from now on, when a breakup happens with the next girlfriend or so on, which is bound to happen because that's a normal way of life. You meet someone, you get in a relationship, and then it breaks up and you feel all this shit again. So one of the things that you feel is that you feel you miss her. But do you really miss her? Or there are other things at work, such as Well, when you were single, you had a certain things you would do during the day. You would get up, have your breakfast, go to school or go to your job, and do certain things after the work, maybe gym or friends or cinema or whatever, hang out. So these were your mechanical processes, the things that you would do during the day. Through these mechanical processes, you had created an order, a routine, an order of life. And in the order of life is where the brain mind finds security. Brain and mind are different, but in this context, I use them as the same to get the point across. You see, brain is looking for security, but it cannot find and does not find security the way that your body finds, your physical entity. We are at least made of the two parts, physical and mental. Your physical portion of your entity, of your existence, finds security in this secured physical environment. I'm in my apartment, the door is locked, I'm in good part of town, I have a physically safe environment, so I physically feel safe in a physically safe environment. That's how I find security physically. But the mind doesn't find security in the same way in a safe physical environment. Mind finds security in occupation. Mind finds security in the routine of life, in the order of life. Now, before you met her, you had a certain order of life and you had a routine. And she had her own routine. When you guys got together, eventually you compromise and you end up having a similar or a combined routine, which was involved in two people creating that routine. Together, you would do things or text or go to your work or go to your school and then contact afterwards or do things together. So certain mechanical processes were shared. And this sharing and compromise and combination of things that you were doing during the day caused and brought about a new routine. And that new routine was the new order of your life. And you two were used to that. And your mind found security in that routine, the new routine versus when you were single. And you got used to that new routine. When you guys broke up, no longer she's there to contribute, to continue creating this routine every day. When the routine is no longer there, the order of life is changed, and the order of life where the mind finds security in it because it's busy doing things that you are engaged in doing during the day, can't find security. So when the mind cannot find security and it still wants security, where does it go? It goes into the memory, because in the memory, everything is recorded and everything is the same as it always was. It's a virtual world. And the brain goes into the memory because everything is the same as it was before the breakup and finds security in the order that is recorded and still exists in the memory. And while it's there and feels comfortable, because you always think about how things were, that's why, because you're in the memory, that's why. And while you're there, who else is there in that scenario, in the recorded memory? She is. So when she is there in the memory, while the brain is trying to find security in the routine of things, which is recorded in the memory, it triggers the desire file. The desire file is the file that contains the prerequisites for desire to be born. When you guys met, saw each other, and eventually the senses, the sensories came to contact by holding hands, by looking at each other, by getting used to intimacy and so on, all that prerequisites needs to be there, which I have a video on desire and how to stop it, or how is desire born, that explains exactly how desire is born. But for now, just accept the fact that there are prerequisites necessary for desire to be born, and those prerequisites have been met before you guys got to get to know each other and desire for each other was created. And all those prerequisites that was provided before your desire for each other was created is recorded, and it's in the memory file. So when you're there seeking security, the mind seeks security by being in the memory file of desire, because you see her in the memory as well, it opens up. And all those prerequisites for desire to be born already met, but the brain doesn't know that it's a past time. It simply thinks, oh, all the desire, all the prerequisites for desire to be born is met in the file, because file just opened, refreshed it, and then it desires her again, because it is now showing her all prerequisites are met, so you can desire. An old desire is again born. That's when you miss her. And then you think the reason that you feel so bad is because you don't have her. Partly, yes. But the other big part is because you don't have the order that the mind used to find security in it. Now it's gone in there to find security, sees you, that triggers the desire file, it opens up, and you end up desiring her again, not knowing this is not new. And the brain doesn't understand that. So you enforce the desiring mechanism by keep being in the memory. So the key is to get out of the memory. How? Well, the brain goes into the memory to find security. Why? Because the order that was your lifestyle is recorded in the memory. So it goes in the memory to find the order, and through that involvement with that order, it finds security. But if you take that away from it by creating a new order in the actual life, outside of the memory, in the reality of life, then the brain finds security in the new order, in the actuality, in your life, has no need to go in the memory. And when it doesn't go in there, doesn't see her, the trigger file of the desire is not opened up and doesn't desire her just as easily anymore. So the key is find new interests, create new mechanical processes, the things that you do separately, again, like when you were single, and the things, new friends and new hobbies and new things, and add to these mechanism of the mechanical security. Mechanical, what was it? I forgot the word. So all these things that you're supposed to do during the day, you create new things for yourself. And through that, you create a new routine. And through the new routine, you create a new order. And the new order, the mind finds security there, no longer goes into the memory, doesn't see her. The desire file doesn't open up. And you'll be out of this. And you feel much more comfortable, secure, and then on your way to bigger and better things. All right. Mechanical process. There it is. There's the word. Lost the word. Okay. That's in a nutshell. If you want to discuss more, you go on my site, make an appointment, and we'll discuss all the other nitty-gritties that could be helpful to you. Jimmy HTV says, hello, sir. Jimmy, I need to know your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from. Give me a moment just to catch my breath. So why don't you guys just enjoy a little bit of a guitar for 1 minute. I'll be right back. The last word was just total bullshit. I just made it up. But the idea of being here just for a moment, just gonna forget every shit, and it's just good. Are you taping me? All right, we're back. And so let's see, where were we? John says, thank you for answering. I really wish it doesn't go any further. As a Muslim myself, I feel so badly for my Muslim brothers and sisters, but I also feel so badly for the Jewish brothers and sisters that yeah, of course, it goes both ways. You know, I mean, we are closer to, the Muslims are closer to the Jewish brothers and sisters, and Jewish people are closer to the Muslims than any other tribes. They all come from Ibrahim's children. So all these animosities just doesn't make sense. Just imagine what would happen if the Jewish brothers and sisters and Muslim brothers and sisters unite. That's where the beautiful life begins. All right, let's go on to Mr. the Octavius. Says, I recently found your channel and I really enjoy your content. Thank you, Mira. You're quite welcome. Let me know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. And please don't forget, this channel, although has probably second to none contents, over 3,000 videos covering things, topics such as thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, breakups, the state of mind after breakups, and all the elaborations, and then OCD and OCD subsets, intrusive thoughts, and HOCD, and amazing number of videos showing scientific and philosophical point of views and proving you're not the brain and brain is not you, using many scholars' work such as Dr. Speary, Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Philipson, Dr. Jan Weiner, and learning from their YouTube channels and discussions, and Dr. Schwartz books and a series of discoveries in regards to OCD, and Dr. Anne Grable, with the work that she has done on understanding the cluster of behavior of the brain, shows to the brain as one, and it doesn't know it's doing a cluster of behavior, just thinks it's one action. And then, of course, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Libet, all the experiments have been used, and then I've used quantum physics experiments in the laboratories using the logical and scientific way to prove and show you beyond the shadow of doubt that you're not the brain and brain is not you. These contents on this channel are second to none. Yet, if you can see, we really don't have that much of a followers, where it's been helping millions of people and they all benefit from it, but we are not being visible on YouTube. Somehow YouTube doesn't seem to think we need exposure. So if you guys would be kind enough to explore this possibility of giving us exposure by sharing the videos you like on your social media and talking about it on chat lines and so on, it will help the channel, and the channel can grow and have some finances and be able to advertise more and to be able to reach more people and help more people. Ash Drum is here, male 35 UK, says, hey, hello, brother. I am now convinced I'm an ugly bastard and have never had such failures with women in my life. Well, we all go through some dry seasons, and whether it's because we are having different standards and a little bit tough and looking from some kind of a perfectionism in our own minds, and or it's just that we are not really doing what it takes, taking care of our bodies and having serious work to make money and be able to kind of present ourselves in our best light and be able to spend a little money for the girls that we go out with. So these things could affect. So I don't know where you are, perhaps all of it. Says it is unreal the amount I've been rejected in the last year or so. Why? Why? Because you just go in there to get a date, to sleep with them, or to have a relationship and to prove to yourself that you still got it. Your intention to get a date is not what they are hoping it to be. So it shows a desperation because you have a reason for wanting that date, not because you like her or you want to get to know her, because you kind of like anybody. When we don't have dates for so long, we are not that, maybe unconsciously not so specific. And so any girl that smiles at us, we think, oh, that's the right girl. So you go and you don't have any foundation for wanting that girl other than the fact that she's available or she smiled at you. So your real emotions are not there and they can feel it. So you're there just to say something funny or make them be attracted to you. And they're not that shallow, all of them. They're looking for some kind of a real discussion or some kind of a getting to know each other on similar levels. And so you got to be a little bit more patient. So I don't exactly know what you do when you go out to, to get to know a woman, but this is my guess, knowing you and the discussions that we've had. And Ash says, you know me personally, so what do you think it is if it isn't my looks? No, it's never the looks. And he says, I'm convinced it's mostly this. No, 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 no. Girls don't give a fuck about your looks or my looks or anybody's look. To a degree, they are most interested in how you treat them, how you make them feel important, how you make them feel comfortable and safe with you, how they can open up, and how patient you are, and you're not just trying to get into their pants. Once they see you as someone that they can rely on, as someone they can lean on, someone they can talk to, someone who's interested in their existence, not their aesthetically beautiful body, then they will be more inclined, because then you become different than any other asshole out there that is trying to get into the pants. And they're looking for that. So pretty much when you go to see them, check your dick at home, put it in the freezer, and then go there. Or if you take it with you, just focus on her mind, nowhere else. Discuss things about life, things that you guys like, things that she likes. Let her talk more. You seem to be liking to talk more than you let them talk. I'm just guessing. I don't know. There wasn't a study done in a communication 101 in university, and we got to know that case. They put person A in the center of a room, and person B entered and sat in front of person A, who was already in the room, stationary, and person B introduced himself, that how many brothers and sisters he has, what kind of a job he has, and what interests he has, and how many places he has traveled, and everything about himself. And then left the room. Person C came into the room and sat in front of person A, the same person who was in the room, and then introduced himself and said how old he is and how long he's been in that town, and then asked him, how about you? What is your life like? Person A, who was sitting there, got the chance to tell person C all about himself for the next 10, 15 minutes. But he knew nothing about this person C, because he only introduced himself, says how long he's been in that town. He knew a lot about person B, everything about his life and family and money and job and so on and interest, but knew pretty much nothing about person C. However, the difference was when they asked him which one of these people you like more, he said person C, even though he knew nothing about person C. Why? Because person C allowed him to talk about himself. Person B had been talking about himself to person A. That's why person A, people in general, don't really care much about you telling them who you are. A little bit, yes, in moderation, maybe in different settings and different seatings, but they would like to talk to you about themselves. Everybody likes to tell you about them. And if you ask person A, do you like person A? If you ask person B, do you like person A? He says, yeah, because I told them everything about me. People like to say everything about themselves. So I'm supposing that you go in there trying to introduce to them who you are, what you do, what your life has been, and things that bothers you, things that you love, instead of letting them to do this or getting the conversation to a point that they feel comfortable to share those stuff with you. So that's what I can say on the live stream without pay. You want more? You fucking go make an appointment and pay for it. This channel needs money. You guys, you lazy bums, cheap asses. So let's see. Mr. T. Octavius says Sweden 27 males. Ah, thank you for that. All right. So Mr. Octavius says, I'm already sharing it to friends to sleep with them. What? I do want, says, I like, no, sorry, that was a different person. Says, I'm already sharing this to friends and within my own network. Oh, I appreciate that very much, Octavius. So I think your approach to breakup, ego, and mentality surrounding big life changes are really healthy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for sharing. And Activia says maybe if you start doing YouTube shorts that drag people into your channel, I'm a big fan of psych hacks on YouTube, and he has implemented the shorts concept quite successfully. You know, I really don't know how these shorts work. In my 3,000 videos, I have many videos less than 10 minutes. But I guess with short, you mean less than 1 minute, yeah? And I started the channel, I started uploading videos up to 10 minutes. I thought that's what short means. But then I said, well, I already have all those videos on this main channel. So why doesn't YouTube promote that or show that as short? So I really don't have enough information how the short really works. Do I have to make a new channel, or should I just use the same channel but have videos that are maximum less than 1 minute, or it could be 4 or 5 minutes? I got to research that to find that out. One moment, please. All right. Okay. Ash says, I do like these girls. I do want to sleep with them. It's true. I'm a bit desperate right now, but I do have standards. I won't just sleep with anyone. Haha. Okay. But thanks, Mary. Okay, good. My pleasure. Ash says, my dick may as well be in the freezer already. It's not being used for any time else. Yeah, well, you know. Says, no, I go, they're making it about them. I rarely talk about myself to these girls. Honestly, I try to have fun with them, tease them, and I'm curious. This is why I'm convinced it's my look. No, it's not your look. Just shut the fuck up. It's got nothing to do. Girls are not like us that we look for pretty girls. They look for someone who's actually going to make them feel good and have a little bit money to spend on them and can listen to them and can actually bond on the conscious level with them. and then they will allow you to indulge. But you can't go there with your dick in your hand, says hello, how are you, and you're offering something that is not in the right time. So they can feel it. And it's not like that just because everything is so sexually um, charged that many men think that it is actually apropos to go to a girl and show all this sexual interest that they have towards her. Oh, yeah, it kind of turns them off. Says, "What the fuck you doing here? Am I not a human being? Aren't you here because you feel that I have got something to offer other than this whole thing?" But there has to be balance in there. You got to everything in its own place, yeah, in its own time. But you go in there with so much interest to impress them and entertain them, you'll do it over the top and you become a clown. You become an entertainer. No, you got to be a bit of a reserved and see what they're asking for, and then you talk about the topics that are interest to them. Anyhow, you will figure it out. I'm sure you're a smart boy. I mean, I don't really know why you're coming down on yourself like that, but you're more intelligent than you can think. But don't let it get to your head, and just sometimes you got to be goofy, but sometimes you got to be just a little bit reserved, and you got to figure that balance. Activity says shorts are not that long, at most 1 minute. Ah, I see. Okay. And do they have to be on a different channel or on the same channel it works? And Activity says, for better or worse, people's attention span has shortened quite significantly. Yes, I'm aware of that. You're absolutely right. With the introduction of TikTok and Reels on Instagram, if you don't capture the attention of your audience at the first few seconds, 10 seconds. Yeah, you're right. I've started a channel on TikTok and it's actually not doing too bad. Within 2 weeks, I have like 435 subscribers. But my videos are the same videos that I have on YouTube. Like I cut them up because the maximum was 10 minutes. And so I put the short ones in there. But maybe I should focus on like a minute ones, just a little excerpt of some of my videos where I've been really brilliant at that moment. I got to find that. It's hard to find, but I will try. And then I'll put those maximum 1 minute ones included in there, regardless of where in the channel is. The 1 minute ones, it'll show itself. I understand now. I think I will get make that change or addition. I will continue on TikTok the videos that are lengthy and meaningful and helps them out, but I also will include the 1 minute ones in order to kind of boost the channel. I think that will work. Same thing with YouTube. Now I get it. Yeah. And Zania AFK says, I'm too stuck with HOCD. How to just forget I have this shit. I'm 24/7 thinking about it. Yeah. Okay. You need to go either watch my videos over, I don't know, 1,000 videos on that topic, elaborate, good quality as far as content is concerned, which you won't find in any other channel. Or you can go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. Is right here at the corner of the. There it is. This right here. It shows you. And you can just make an appointment for an hour discussion. And for people who make an appointment for an hour and they are newcomers, new clients, I add another 20 minutes to half an hour extra. So we don't have to rush, get to know each other, get to know ins and out of your situation, and we'll discuss it, what's concerning you, one-on-one on Skype. The Activia says, what is HOCD? HOCD is an old name for sexual orientation OCD. OCD and OCD subsets, harm OCD, responsibility OCD, religiosity OCD, homosexual OCD was called. But now, because this kind of OCD hits any gender, homosexual or heterosexual. So it's changed to sexual orientation OCD. It's where intrusive thoughts suggests, things that is not in line with the values and the gender of that person. And so that's the discussion. Yeah. Ash says, if you want my advice, Mehran, buy a Spanish acoustic guitar and start replacing all of your mental health videos with Spanish what ballads, and then when you've lured everyone in, hit them with HOCD advice. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So looks like that we have answered all the questions. Am I right or am I wrong? Oh, there is. Jimmy says, hello, sir. I would like to thank you so much for helping me change my mindset and cure my HOCD 3 years ago. I had HOCD and felt terrible, but thanks to you, since then, this problem hasn't bothered me. Good for you. It's not a problem. It's a glitch in the signaling system of the brain, and you just got to recognize it's another thought. And you're not supposed to take that thought as any indication or any gesture or any message for you. It's just a thought. Brain makes thoughts, and based on what you are most protective of, which is our gender for us, it will attack that what is most important for you. Just like anything else that you love, there is a natural fear of losing it, such as if you have lots of money, you're naturally afraid if somebody steals it. If you have a house, you're worried about if it catches fire. Or if you have a car, you're worried about somebody stealing or scratching it. Or you have a girlfriend, you worry about she leaving you. Wife, the same. And gender, it's the most important thing to us. So the brain attacks that because it thinks by attacking it, it makes you, alert you to protect it more, what it is that you want to protect more. But it has a opposite effect as well, because it creates all kind of suggestions, and we kind of lose the fact that these are supposedly to make us alert, because at the same time a glitch of signaling system has gone wrong in the brain, and it's malfunctioning. It's gone crazy, nuts. And then the rest of the scientific values of it that I've described and explained in many of the videos, and I just did for someone else today right here. All right. So I think it's time for me to, Zing says, can this HOCD cure itself by time? Yes. I sometimes think it's my overthinking. Yes. I don't have any gay thoughts. You could. It doesn't mean you're gay. And when I'm busy, but when I'm free, no work to do, the thoughts pop up about HOCD. Yeah, it's because that is the part you're trying to protect the most. It's most important to you. Therefore, the brain connects with that and associates all kinds of things, which alongside the signaling system having gone wacko, so it creates all those suggestions over and over. And it's you want to get rid of them because you think it's a threat, as if it's going to do something to you. So you pay more attention to it. The more attention you pay to that thought, the more you are training wiring the brain to keep producing that kind of a thought, because the more you're thinking about that or concerned about it or trying to fight with it or get rid of it, the more you're causing neuroplasticity to take place. And the whole story of the synaptic neurons creating the bridge for what you do a lot of, you become much better at it. Just like you play piano, if you play lots of piano, eventually become good at it. So anything you do a lot of, synaptic neurons create a bridge and let that information through neurotransmitters pass through. You become very good at playing the piano or the guitar. And when you don't play it as long, it also has the reverse effect, and the synaptic neurons will be destroyed by the glial cells go and find these bridges that are not working, mark them with protein CQ1 and the microglial cells. When you sleep, go find those marked bridges and destroy them. So making these synaptic neurons prepared for anything else, new things that you want to learn. So the key to this whole thing, which I said in a nutshell, is that you don't pay attention to this bullshit. The more you pay attention to it, the better you get good at it to keep paying attention to it. But the less you pay attention to it is like when you stop playing piano after a while, then you're not as good as you used to be, because the reverse of the neuroplasticity also works. So having said all that, I have a video on how to delete your memory. You can watch that and exactly understand what I meant, which was very quickly here. But again, you guys are welcome to go on my site, mind-that-seeks-truth.com, which I've put it right here for you, and you can see it, and then make an appointment for a Skype chat from wherever you are in the world, and we'll discuss what's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. It says, I've come close to curing my HOCD, and I'd like to partially thank you, as you are one of the people who gave me hope during this all. Hopefully, I can make a quick recovery. You see, stop trying to make a quick recovery. There is no need for you to recover. There's nothing wrong with you. These are thoughts. You just need to understand how the brain works, malfunctions, functions, and what thoughts are. Thoughts are just a bunch of neurons put together. There's no factor reality to it. You just need not to be so sensitive about it and follow the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, which I've explained in one of my videos. The 4 steps of Dr. Just key in 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz or 4 steps, and it'll come for you. And I have the text of it for you to read as well, if you want it. So just recognizing the malfunction of the brain, recognizing that thoughts can exist and can all kind of garbage, it can all kind of contents, and it's okay. A thought is not negative or positive. It's a thought. But if you understand it's a thought, then you won't be so sensitive. Well, I got to get rid of it. I got to get cured. You're cured. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the brain has this malfunction and introduces things that is not in line with your values. And knowing that, that's why the awareness is there, because there's a contradiction between your values and what the brain suggests or secretes. And that's the end of the story. Okay, that's a thought. It's not in line with my value. My awareness tells me there's a contradiction, which means it's not about me, then I don't care what it does. So you pay less attention to it rather than trying delving, data hunting it, and creating more of a neuroplasticity for it to make these sort of thoughts. And instead, you learn how to deal with it through the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz and pay less attention, focus on your life, and, then you won't care whether they show up or not. It's like one of the things that the brain does, or one of the things that is happening in the street. You're going about your business and somebody is, emptying the garbage, or somebody is digging in the sewer to fix that pipe. Somebody is making food. Somebody is driving a bus, and you just don't care about any of them, but they're happening there. So what? It's part of the function of the daily life, and people are doing different things. Yeah. And you go about your business regardless of what's happening around you. Same thing with the brain. It makes all kinds of thoughts, 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. You're not supposed to be paying attention to what was this for? What was that for? You just do your thing and let these things happen, because it's irrelevant to you. What's irrelevant to you, you don't pay attention to it. When you don't pay attention to it, the neuroplasticity works in reverse, and it starts becoming less and less of production of these sort of thoughts. And that's how you deal with it. You don't have to cure. There's nothing wrong with you to cure it. Zainaf says Mehran can be a good storyteller. Okay, yeah, I guess I am. And Ash says he already is. Well, thank you very much. Okay, guys, it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream. Don't forget to promote the channel. And of course, you can always send us $1 million here and there whenever you get the chance. Be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel. Visit my channel. and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.